Hey kids, who here likes dinos? Great, you'll all make excellent additions to the church. But before you can become a certified Dynoist, you'll have to learn a few things about dinos. The Church of Dynology, aka your new home, welcomes you to how to grade a dino. A lot of people want to know what makes a dino, what makes a dino difficult. Today we're going to be going through one dino for every grade. Now you might be wondering, how are you going to do a dino for every grade? What does a V0 dino look like? You're going to see right now. That's a V0 dino. Notice how our demonstrator threw his weight to dynamically reach the next hold. This is called a dead point. Now dead points have the broadest range of difficulty, ranging from V0 all the way to V17. And while dead points are an extremely common move in rock climbing, they're hardly dinos. Now let's check back in with climbing stuff. The thing with dinos is they don't really become necessary until around V3. Around V3 is where you can get to the point that doing a dino becomes easier than trying to static the move. I'd say V1 would honestly just be like a bigger dead point. Yeah, right? So. See this V1 dino. That's a V1, yeah. Let's do another V1 right here. Now that we've covered V0 and V1, let's take a look at V2. At the grade of V2, we'll see the introduction of the most common dino, the throw, aka the loose dino, lacking any form of morality or conscience, just being passed around from dinoist to dinoist, covered in greasy, crusty, liquid chalk. But, as we can see, V2s can also involve more complex movement, like the introduction of simpler coordination dinos. Now it's time to move on to the most important grade, the holiest grade of all grades, V3. In the Church of Dynology, V3 represents rebirth, the genesis of all dinos. All forms of dino can be set at the grade of V3, ranging the entirety of all 7 deadly dinos. Don't worry, we'll get into those in the next lesson. But the most important addition at the grade of V3 is the double dino, the holiest of all dinos. With the introduction of the double dino, you will find yourself having all 4 limbs removed from the wall before catching the next hold. At V3, you can truly call yourself a dinoist. Now let's move on to V4. Besides dinos getting larger at V4, we also see the introduction of more complex coordination dinos. Yeah.
Brother man, that was close.
V4. What would you grade this V4?
I don't know which V4 you're talking about.
The one with the dino.
Oh, the one that you were trying, I would grade probably V5 or 6. The way that I did it, V4.
You think V4 though?
I think reasonably V4.
I think it's a little sandbag, but we'll see. This will be another example, I guess, of a V4 dino. Nice.
I dabbed a little bit, but there we go.
But we won't see significant change until we reach the next grade, V5. To go from V4 to V5, you need a little bit more, a little oomph added. You can't just have size. Now, a lot of the dinos room today are on jugs. You're going to have more than just jugs. We'll try to add some variety, but if you are going to be on jugs, you're going to start incorporating things like a paddle. I've said this before on my channel. If it's a paddle dino, it's always at least V5. At the grade of V5, dinos have now officially become difficult. If you find yourself dinoing at V5, congratulations. You are now an intermediate dinoist. You've become hopelessly trapped. Food will lose taste. Consciousness fading. Now let's move on to the grade of V6. So for V6, we have this V6 boulder here that has basically a pretty dynamic crux move. It's a rose move throw. and it's very hard. You can actually, I guess, technically dead point it. I think the way I do it is technically a dead point because I don't cut feet, but I'll show you right now. Besides an increase in difficulty at the grade of V6, we'll also see an increase in size. Now let's move on to the next significant grade, V7. Not all dynos are big. Sometimes you get small little guys like this V7 here. This is genuinely one of the hardest dynos I've ever done. I don't know if I'll be able to repeat it, but we're gonna give it a go. Oh, let's go. V7 sloper, I guess, kind of dyno. Super compression-y, like you're not really pulling on anything, you're pressing. Really hard on the shoulders. I'm glad I was able to do it again. At the grade of V7, you may find yourself doing dynos between holds like pinches, or slopers, or even small crimps. This is a major stepping stone in your dyno journey as you have now become an advanced dynoist. And while you may fancy dynoing at a grade like V7, be warned, there's no turning back. Now let's move on to V8. Like all difficulty increases, at the grade of V8, holds get smaller and moves get bigger. Sometimes your dynos are not going to be on jugs, sometimes they're also not going to be on crimps, sometimes they're going to be on pinches. This is not going to look big and flashy, but that's kind of what happens. As you get into higher grades, flashiness goes out the window and just becomes pure beef, pure manpower. God, that is hard. Oh. The right hand, or your left hand, is on an undercling, pretty stretched out. These holds are probably about 5 feet apart. Big swing over, but we're gonna do it for the church. At the grade of V8, dynos will start to present themselves in massive size, but don't worry, it's just the beginning. Now let's move on to V9. If you find yourself on a pair of starting holds looking up at a hold 8 feet away, congratulations, you've entered V9 dynos. Oh! Let's go. Now let's move on to our final grade, V10. Since we're in V10 territory, it's going to get kind of wacky. This is the only V10 dyno we have in the gym. It's actually like all pretty good holds, which is rare, but the move is really awkward because essentially you have to pull off what's a pretty good hold, but then this foot's good, but you do have to get right over it and push straight down on it to jump, and then there's a volume right in your face. So you jump and you have to arc past the volume, catch these. And this hold is, if you look, it's just like a sloper. So it's only really good when you're swinging, but when you swing back in, it becomes useless. So you have to immediately get your feet on or you fall off. So it's it's like a coordination dyno and a overhang dyno and a slab dyno all at the same time. It's pretty crazy. I didn't have enough pop on that one. Nice.
Hit it.
Oh, damn. That's so cool. It is that right hand, though. It's so hard to like really dig in with that right hand. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Dude, that was sick. Congratulations! You've completed a V10 dyno, either purely through skill or just by being tall. You're now a disciple of the Dyno. You may find yourself having some new urges, craving the taste of raw meat, a constant itching or burning sensation. Don't worry, these are all perfectly normal. You've now become a full-blown Dynoist, but the road doesn't end here, kiddo. You still got 7 grades to go. So get out there and get dynoing.